Hi, everyone, sub this channel before we begin. If stories about truth, family, and quiet strength matter to you, consider subscribing. Sometimes the voices that speak the softest have the most important stories to tell. Asterisk. My name is Margaret Collins. I am 83 years old, and 3 months ago, my own son placed me in a nursing home, not because I was sick, not because I could not take care of myself, asterisk, but because he said it would be better for everyone, asterisk, at least that is. What he told me, asterisk, the day it happened, was a quiet Tuesday morning, asterisk. I remember the sunlight falling through the kitchen window of my house, the same house I had lived in for 47 years, asterisk, the same house where my son Daniel had taken his first steps across the living room carpet, asterisk, where birthday cakes had been baked, Christmas mornings celebrated, and countless family dinners shared around a wooden table that still carried tiny knife marks from decades of meals, asterisk. That house was not just a building, it was my life. Daniel arrived that morning with a careful smile on his face. He kissed my cheek and asked how I was feeling. Remember thinking that he seemed nervous, as if he had rehearsed something in his mind many times before saying it out loud. Asterisk, Mom, he said gently, we have been thinking about your comfort. I poured him a cup of coffee and sat across from him. My comfort? I repeated. Asterisk, yes, he said quickly. You know, we worry about you living alone. In this big house, you could slip, you could get sick, and no one would know. His words sounded reasonable, thoughtful, even, asterisk, but something in his tone felt strangely distant, asterisk. Then he said the sentence that changed everything. Asterisk, we think it might be time for you to stay somewhere safer for a while, just temporarily, a place where people can help you if you need anything, asterisk. A nursing home, asterisk. I remember staring at him quietly for several seconds. Asterisk. Daniel had always been a good son. At least I believed he was, asterisk. I had raised him alone after his father died when Daniel was only 9 years old, asterisk. I worked 2 jobs to keep this house, asterisk. I skipped vacations, asterisk. I skipped new clothes, asterisk, but I never skipped the mortgage payment, asterisk, because I wanted Daniel to grow up somewhere stable, somewhere safe. And now he was telling me that I should leave it, asterisk, just for a little while. He said again, until we figure things out. I did not argue, asterisk. At my age, you learn that arguing rarely changes a person's mind, asterisk. So I packed a small suitcase, a few sweaters, my reading glasses, asterisk, and the photo of Daniel when he was 10 years old holding the first fish he ever caught, asterisk. When we arrived at the nursing home, the building looked clean and bright, asterisk. The receptionist smiled kindly, asterisk. Daniel filled out several forms while I sat quietly beside him, asterisk. I noticed how quickly he signed the papers, asterisk, almost as if he had already read them somewhere else before arriving, asterisk. Then a nurse guided me to my room. It was small but comfortable. Single bed, a chair by the window, a small dresser, asterisk. Daniel hugged me quickly before leaving, asterisk. Get some rest, Mom, he said. This is just temporary. But as he walked down the hallway toward the exit, I felt something I had not expected. Not sadness, not anger, suspicion, because something about the entire situation felt too organized, too prepared. Later that evening, I walked slowly down to the reception desk. The young woman working there smiled warmly. Can I help you with something, Mrs. Collins? Yes, I said calmly. I would like to use the phone, asterisk. There is a lawyer I need to call, asterisk. The young woman handed me the receiver without asking questions, I dialed a number that I had not used in nearly 15 years. When the man answered, I spoke slowly and clearly. Hello, Mr. Harris. This is Margaret Collins. I believe my son may be trying to sell my house. And I need your help to stop him. When Mr. Harris heard my voice on the phone, there was a short silence on the other end. Margaret Collins, he finally said slowly. It has been many years since I last heard from you. Yes, I replied. And I wish I was calling under better circumstances. Mr. Harris had been my lawyer many years ago when my husband was still alive. After my husband passed away, Mr. Harris helped me with the house paperwork and some financial matters. He was a careful man who paid attention to details. That was exactly why I trusted him. I told him everything that had happened that morning. How my son suddenly insisted I move to a nursing home. How quickly the paperwork had been signed. And how uneasy the entire situation felt. When I finished speaking, Mr. Harris did not respond immediately. Then he asked one simple question. Margaret, did you sign any documents recently related to your house? No, I answered without hesitation. The house is still in my name, exactly the way it has been for decades. Another pause. Then his voice became serious. Margaret, I need you to listen carefully. I will check the county property records first thing tomorrow morning. If anyone has attempted to transfer ownership of your house, there will be documentation filed with the county office. Thank you. I said quietly, after we ended the call. I returned slowly to my room. That night I barely slept. My mind kept replaying the moment Daniel signed those papers at the reception desk. The speed of it, the confidence, the relief on his face when I agreed to move. By morning, I already suspected the truth, but the truth was worse than I expected at 10 o'clock. The next morning, the phone in my room rang. It was Mr. Harris. Margaret, he said immediately. I found something. My heart began to beat faster. Yesterday afternoon, a request was submitted to list your property for sale. For sale. I repeated quietly. Yes. The listing paperwork was submitted through a real estate agency. According to the documents, the owner approved the sale. But I never approved anything. I said firmly. I know, he replied. And that is where things become very concerning. According to the document, there is a signature that claims to be yours. For several seconds I could not speak. My own son had forged my name. Harris continued speaking. Carefully. The house was scheduled to be shown to potential buyers this weekend. Margaret, whoever submitted these documents expected the house to sell quickly. A strange calm settled inside me. I had always believed Daniel was a good man. Perhaps careless sometimes, but never dishonest. Yet here was the evidence. He had placed me in a nursing home, and the very next day he attempted to sell the house I had spent 47 years paying for. Mr. Harris spoke again. Margaret, I need to ask you something important. Did you give your son permission to handle your legal affairs? No, I said immediately. I never signed power of attorney. Never. That makes the situation much more serious. He said, because if that signature is not yours, then someone has committed fraud. It is a heavy word, especially when it involves your own child. Mr. Harris continued explaining the situation. For now. He said, I will file an immediate legal notice to freeze any sale activity on your property. That will stop the real estate agency from moving forward until the ownership and signature issues are investigated. Can they still sell it? I asked. Not if we act quickly, he replied. And Margaret, I would like to meet you in person as soon as possible. Asterisk, I looked around the small nursing home room. Asterisk, there was a chair beside the window, where sunlight was falling across the floor. Outside I could see a small garden where a few residents were walking slowly with nurses. Asterisk, just yesterday, I believed. I had simply moved here temporarily. Asterisk, now. I realized something very different. Asterisk, someone had planned to remove me from my own home, quietly, legally. Asterisk, and permanently. Asterisk, all because they believed I would not. Notice, Mr. Harris spoke again. Margaret, I know this is difficult, but you must prepare yourself for the possibility that your son knew exactly what he was doing. I took a deep breath. For 83 years, I had faced many difficult moments in life, the death of my husband, financial struggles, loneliness, but this moment felt different. Asterisk, because betrayal from family leaves a deeper wound than any stranger could create. Asterisk, still, I kept my voice steady. Asterisk, Mr. Harris, I said, I would like you to do whatever is necessary to stop the sale of my house. Asterisk, of course. He replied, asterisk, and Margaret, there's one more thing you should. No, asterisk. The listing price for your house is nearly 3 times higher than what homes in your neighborhood sold for 10 years ago. Your house is now extremely valuable, which means someone may have believed it was worth taking from you. I slowly placed the phone down after the call ended. For several minutes, I simply sat in silence. Asterisk. Then something unexpected happened. Asterisk, instead of feeling weak or defeated, I felt something else, determination. Because if my son believed that placing me in a nursing home would make me powerless, he had made a very serious mistake, asterisk, and soon he was going to learn just how serious that mistake was. The day after my phone call with Mr. Harris, something inside me had already changed. Asterisk, I woke up earlier than usual that morning. The sun had barely risen, and the hallway of the nursing home was still quiet. Most of the residents were asleep, and the nurses were speaking softly at the station near the elevator. Asterisk, for the first time since arriving there, I no longer felt like a confused old woman placed somewhere for her own safety. Asterisk, I felt like someone who had been carefully moved out of the way. Asterisk, and I intended to move back. Asterisk, around 9 in the morning, Mr. Harris arrived at the nursing home. The receptionist called my room and told me that a visitor had come to see me. Asterisk, when I walked into the small meeting room downstairs, I immediately recognized him. He had more gray hair than the last time I saw him, but his sharp eyes were exactly the same. Asterisk, Margaret, he said as he stood up to greet me. It is good to see you again, although I wish the circumstances were different. Asterisk, thank you for coming so quickly, I replied. He placed a folder on the table and opened it carefully. Inside were several printed documents. Asterisk, the first one, was a property listing advertisement for my house. Asterisk, seeing the photograph of my front porch on that paper made my chest tighten. The same porch where Daniel used to sit with his friends during summer evenings when he was a teenager. Asterisk, now it was being presented to strangers as a house ready for sale. Asterisk, Mr. Harris pointed to the bottom of the page. Asterisk, according to this listing, your son contacted a real estate agent 2 weeks ago. The house was scheduled for open house viewings this coming Saturday. Asterisk, 2 weeks ago. I repeated quietly. Asterisk, yes, that means this plan started long before he drove you to the nursing home. The words felt heavy in the room. Mr. Harris turned. Another page in the folder. Asterisk, this is the document that claims you approved the sale. I looked down at the paper. My name was written there in a signature that tried very hard to look like mine, but it was not mine. The Letters were slightly different. The line of the signature curved in the wrong place. Asterisk. Someone had practiced writing it, but they had not practiced enough. I slowly pushed the document back toward Mr. Harris. Asterisk. That is not my signature. He nodded. I know. Asterisk. Yesterday, I compared it to the signatures you used on your property records years ago. There are clear differences, which means the sale approval is legally invalid. Quiet feeling of relief passed through me, but Mr. Harris was not finished. There is something else you should know. Margaret. Asterisk. The real estate agent who listed the property believed Daniel had the legal authority to sell the house. Asterisk. How would he believe that? I asked. Asterisk. Mr. Harris slid another document across the table. Asterisk. Because Daniel presented a copy of a power of attorney. Asterisk. I stared at the paper. Asterisk. Power of attorney means someone has the legal right to make financial decisions on behalf of another person. Asterisk. But I had never signed such a document. Asterisk. This one also carries a signature that claims to be yours. Mr. Harris explained, and the date on it is only 3 weeks old. Mine quickly connected the pieces. Asterisk. First the fake power of attorney, then moving me into a nursing home, then listing the house for sale. Asterisk. Every step had been planned carefully. Asterisk. Daniel had believed that once I was in a nursing home, no one would question whether I approved the sale of my own house. Mr. Harris closed the folder slowly. Margaret. I have already filed a legal notice to stop the property sale. The real estate agency has been informed that the ownership documents are under investigation. Asterisk. Good. I said quietly. Asterisk. But we are not finished yet. He continued. Asterisk. Because forging a signature on legal documents is a serious offense. Asterisk. And if the authorities confirm that Daniel submitted those papers knowingly, he could face legal consequences. Asterisk. For a moment I looked down at my hands. Asterisk. Those same hands had once tied his shoes before school, packed his lunch, held his hand when he was afraid of thunderstorms. Asterisk. Now those hands were holding evidence that my own son had tried to take my home. Life can change in ways you never imagine. Mr. Harris studied my face carefully. Asterisk. Margaret, I know this is painful, but I must ask you something important. Asterisk. Do you want to pursue this matter legally? Asterisk. If we move forward, the investigation will not stay private. Daniel will have to explain how these documents were created. The room was very quiet. Outside the window, I could see a few residents walking slowly through the garden path. Asterisk. I thought about the years I had spent protecting my son from the hardships of the world. Asterisk. And how easily he had decided that my life and my home were simply assets waiting to be taken. Finally I spoke. Yes, Mr. Harris, we will pursue it, because if Daniel believes that placing me in a nursing home makes me powerless, then he has misunderstood something very important. Asterisk. And what is that? Margaret, he asked. I looked directly at him. That I may be 83 years old. Asterisk. But I am still the legal owner of my home, and I'm not finished defending it. 3 days after Mr. Harris filed the legal notice, Daniel came to see me. Asterisk. The nurse knocked softly on my door and told me my son was waiting downstairs in the visitors' room. I already knew why he had come, not because he missed me. Asterisk. Not because he was worried. Asterisk. He had come because someone had stopped the sale. Asterisk. When I entered the room, Daniel stood up quickly. His face looked tense, the polite mask he usually wore now almost gone. Asterisk. Mom, he said, what is going on? I sat down across from him without rushing. You tell me, Daniel, I said. He let out a breath and ran his hand through his hair. A lawyer contacted the real estate office. They said the house sale has been frozen. They said there are questions about documents. Asterisk yes, I said calmly. There are. For a second he said nothing. Then he tried to smile, but it did not reach his eyes. Mom, this is just a misunderstanding. No, Daniel, I replied. A misunderstanding is forgetting to return a phone call. A misunderstanding is buying the wrong groceries. Forging my signature and trying to sell my house is not a misunderstanding. The room went silent. I watched his face carefully, and for the first time in his life, my son looked like a stranger to me. He leaned forward. I was going to explain everything to you. Asterisk when Daniel. After the money was in your account? That seemed to hit him harder than he expected. His shoulders dropped a little. The confidence began to leave his face. Asterisk, you do not understand, he said quietly. I needed the money. Asterisk for what? At first he did not answer. Then the truth began to come out. One piece at a time. He had debt. Far more debt than I had ever imagined. Asterisk bad investments. Credit cards. A business idea he had put money into and lost. Loans he thought he would repay quickly but never did. Asterisk. And then, when the pressure grew too heavy, he looked at my house and saw not a home, but a solution. Asterisk I listened without interrupting. Asterisk he said he never meant to hurt me. He said he was planning to put me somewhere nice. He said he thought I would be safer in a nursing home anyway. Asterisk, but every sentence sounded emptier than the one before it. Asterisk because none of it changed the truth. Asterisk he had lied to me. Asterisk he had removed me from my own home. Asterisk and he had forged legal documents to steal what did not belong to him. Asterisk when he finally stopped talking. I looked at him for a long moment. Asterisk Daniel, I said, do you know what hurts the most? He did not answer. It is not the house. Asterisk, it is not even the documents. Asterisk, it is the fact that I spent my whole life making sure you would never know what betrayal feels like. Asterisk, and somehow, that is exactly what you gave me. His eyes filled with tears then, but by that point, tears were too late. Asterisk Mr. Harris had warned me that I would need to make a choice. Asterisk a painful one. Asterisk I could ask him to keep the matter private and only stop the house sale. Asterisk or I could move forward legally and let the consequences reach Daniel fully. Asterisk for one long night. I sat in my room thinking about that choice. Asterisk a mother spends years protecting her child, even from himself, but there comes a point when protection turns into permission. Asterisk. And I realized that if I stayed silent now, I would not be protecting my son. I would be teaching him that he could betray me and escape the truth. So the next morning, I called Mr. Harris. Asterisk move forward. I told him. Asterisk all the way. Asterisk the investigation moved faster than I expected. The forged signature on the sale approval was confirmed. False power of attorney was confirmed. Asterisk the real estate agent gave a statement saying Daniel had personally presented the documents and insisted the sale be handled quickly. Asterisk by the end of that week, the sale was officially canceled. My house was no longer in danger. But the story did not end there. Asterisk the nursing home administrator also became aware of what had happened. She was deeply disturbed that I had been placed there as part of a dishonest plan. Asterisk. And something surprising happened. Asterisk several staff members began helping me gather records, dates, and details that showed exactly when Daniel had arranged my stay. Asterisk every step of his plan became clearer. He had chosen the nursing home first, then prepared the fake paperwork. Asterisk then tried to move me out of the way long enough to sell the house. Asterisk he had not acted out of panic in one desperate moment. He had planned it. That was the hardest truth of all. Asterisk 2 weeks later, I returned home. I will never forget that moment. Mr. Harris drove me there himself. Asterisk, when I stepped out of the car and looked at my front door, I felt something break inside me and heal at the same time. Asterisk, the flowers by the walkway were still blooming. The brass mailbox still leaned slightly to one side, just as it had for years. Asterisk, and when I walked through the front door, the house smelled exactly as it always had. Asterisk, like old wood, tea leaves, and quiet memories. I stood in the hallway and cried, not in a way people like to in comforting. Not because I was weak, asterisk, but because I had come back to the one place in the world that had always held the truth of my life. Asterisk, a few days later, I made another decision. I changed my will. I updated every legal document connected to my home and finances, asterisk, and I made sure that no one would ever again be able to move a single piece of my life without my clear and direct permission, asterisk. As for Daniel, our relationship did not recover, asterisk, not in the way people like to imagine in comforting stories, asterisk. There was no dramatic apology that repaired everything, asterisk. No perfect ending where trust returned as if nothing had happened, asterisk. Some things once broken never fit together the same way again, asterisk. He called several times. He wrote letters. He asked for forgiveness, asterisk, and perhaps one day, in some quiet place inside my heart, I may forgive him, but forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. I learned that the hard way, asterisk, today. I still live in my house. I still make my own tea in the morning. I still sit by the same kitchen window where the sunlight falls across the table, asterisk, and every now and then, I place my hand on that old wooden surface and remind myself of something important, asterisk. Growing old does not mean becoming invisible. It does not mean becoming powerless, and it certainly does not mean surrendering what you built with your own hands, asterisk. So if you are listening to my story right now, let me leave you with this, asterisk. Never assume that a quiet person knows nothing, asterisk. Never mistake age for weakness, asterisk, and never believe that someone who has survived an entire lifetime will not know how to fight for one more thing that matters, because I did fight and I won.